apostle asked me to speak about CV, but I thought I would not give that subject justice if I just spoke to the CV alone. So give me some time so that I just take you through a journey that will open another world for you. And I want to start that journey by us going to Matthew chapter 6, verse 1. Let's confirm. No, Acts chapter 6, verse 1, sorry. Acts chapter 6, verse 1. And I want us to read together. Now, in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplying, there arose a complaint against Hebrews by the Hellenists, because their widows were neglected in their daily distribution. Next. Then the 12 summoned the multitude of the disciples and said, "It is not desirable that we should leave the word of God and serve tables. Therefore, brethren, seek out from among you 7 men of good reputation, full of the Holy Spirit and wisdom, and whom we may appoint over this business." Sio ni kazi ilikuwa inapeanwa. Watu walikuwa wanapata kazi. Si ndio? Next one. But we will give ourselves continually to prayer and to the ministry of God. And the saying pleased the whole multitude, and they chose Stephen, a man full of faith and the Holy Spirit, and Philip, and Prochorus, Nicanor, Timon, Parmenas, and Nicholas, a proselyte from Antioch. I want us to stop there. These men were chosen because of very good reasons. But their journey of being chosen did not start on that day. We have seen a man, his wife, and a young lady being anointed here to serve this church. There were comments that the apostle made about those 3. And he said that Obadiah went and researched them. Obadiah observed them. And as he observed them, he was convinced that these were the right people to serve in that role. What I would like you to understand is that they were chosen because of the brand they had presented in here. Stephen and the others were chosen because of their brand. So the question is, what is your brand? Let me put it in another way. What are you known for? And what are you known for here? What are you known for in your family? What are you known for at your place of work? What are you known for? If we pulled someone that interacts with you on a regular basis, pulled them aside and said, "You know so and so, what kind of person are they?" What will they say in your absence? That is your brand. Okay? So, you are a brand, whether you like it or not. You are a brand. Every day, when you wake up and you start interacting with people, you are a brand. You are sending out messages. You are sending out messages every day, every time. Every time you joke, every time you laugh, every time you say something, the moment you walk through that door on that day, you are a brand. You send out a certain message about yourself. And therefore, I need you to understand that because you are a brand, you lose some control. You have no control over what people capture and record about yourself. Here now I'm talking about the 3 R's of branding. The 3 R's of branding. The first R is the people around you receive messages from you. That's the first R. And this one, you are sending those messages unconsciously. But now I'm hoping that you will start sending consciously. The second is once they have received that message, they retain it. They keep it somewhere in their mind. Sometimes they don't even know they have retained it, but somehow they record it. So the second R is retain. And the third one is now the one that really matters, is to repeat it. But repeat it when it matters for you. And this is how it happens. And maybe, Apostle, when you are talking to Obadiah, that is what you did. You said, we are looking for someone to be handling the testimonials. Cynthia, maybe that is what you put to Obadiah. And you said, we are looking for someone. And maybe you put in some few words to describe that person. We are looking for someone who can do this and this and this. And then Obadiah goes, who could that be? And in his mind, he starts thinking about this family and the young lady at the back. That their names pop out based on what he has recorded. That is how branding works. That you need to understand every day as you interact, the things you do, the things you say, how you dress, how you speak to people, how you answer people is being recorded without your permission. Without permission. And there will come a moment when those people that have been interacting with you will have to repeat that message. They will say, so you go into a boardroom, your leaders, that question is asked. They propose your name, and someone goes, that one. You see, it's done. Your fate is sealed. And it is based on what you did, not them doing it. It is based on how you carried yourself around. It is based on how you presented yourself. That is personal branding. And that personal branding then will show up in many ways. And those are the ones that I want to speak to. So, you know who are these people here? Papa Shirandula. If I just showed you Papa Shirandula's picture, all of you will start smiling, isn't it? Because that is what he presented himself to us. Mutoko, that lady. Isn't it? Caroline Mutoko. The first thing about her is seriousness, isn't it? She means business. That is her brand. Now, what most of us do not realize that those guys have understood what branding is. And therefore, they go purposely out there to present themselves in a particular way. Now, let me give you my story. And this is a bit of a testimony. When I came here, I was out of work. And someone had reached out to me online. Someone I had interacted with elsewhere and who knew my work. And he said, Stephen, yes, I can see on your LinkedIn that you are out of work. I said, yes. I have some work and I will send someone to you to discuss whether you can do that job for us. So a Ugandan lady later called me and said, send your CV, we'll interview you, and so on. So I was interviewed. That was in June. But in between there was a bit of a haggle. And my second message for you is that you need to know your value. It's very important that you know your value. Otherwise, you can easily undersell yourself. Okay? So, know yourself. Know your value. You remember that message from Dr. Ali? So, between June and September, before I came here, I think one of my enemies was really working hard to make sure that that particular thing fails. Yeah, one of them was working very hard to make sure that it fails. Until I came here, of course, Pastor told me a lot of things. And he told me, like he has told us here, accept Jesus as your personal Savior. I did, and so on. I went on my knees here. He prayed for me, anointed me. A lot of things happened. And then things started happening. And of course, I was called. And one of the things I was called is that we are enlisting you from 1st of October on a 6-month contract. We have also looked at your issue about money, and we are going to add you some more money. Are we getting? And I started working. My job was to write policies for a company, a new company. I had some specialization in that area, plus also healthcare. So I started working. And I worked. I moved into an office space. And within 2 months, the HR business partners started talking like, you are the one who is supposed to be in charge of HR here. We don't understand why they are not giving you this job. Are we getting? At that time, they didn't have an HR person. So what happened was, they actually one morning, but this is a very interesting turn of events. Many things happened. My wife doesn't know about this. I was called into a business, the managing director's office, and I was told, come. I said, where are we going? We are going for an interview. I went and interviewed for something I had not prepared for. But interestingly, I was not given that job. I didn't complain. In fact, that day, I did what Pastor has just described here. During lunchtime, I went to the car and said, Lord, if this was not my job, I know that you will give me another job. Then this happened. On a Sunday, while we were here, we were supposed to go and meet her uncle. I received a call. That call, when I looked at the person calling, it was the HR head for the bank. So the bank is a sister of the company that I was currently working for. And then I sent her a message. I said, I can't talk now, but I can call you later. Then she said, no. Can you come to my office tomorrow at 6? And I went. Very early on a Monday, I went. And the first thing they asked me to do was to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. And they told me, we are transferring you from where you are to this particular new role. And you are going to handle a special project. That's why you are signing an NDA. How can it just happen? They pick you randomly and pull you from another organization and take you to this organization. And they tell you, you continue working the way you are working, but we want you to handle this project. That was mid-May. By the way, other things had happened between that time. One, someone made a mistake in the system. I got an extra month. So I worked for 7 months instead of 6. God works in mysterious ways. 2, when they realized the 7 months were expiring, they extended for another 2 months. Just like that. Now the third thing is, kuja ufanye hii kazi. The only way that can happen is that when I entered that organization, I was very categorical as to how I wanted to be seen. How I wanted to be seen. And I worked that way to make sure that I am seen in a particular way. Now, that is when your branding is controlled. You don't just let it to any event. You make sure you are seen in a particular way. So what happened in June, after 1 month? After 1 month, I was given the permanent role. Let me show you. I was not put on probation. I was just told you're starting to work. The things I'm talking about may look simple, but I can tell you that if you are purposeful with your branding, job jobs will be handed over to you. Now, when I informed the previous HR business partner about what was happening, you know what he told me? He told me, when they did not give you that other job, I walked into the group HR's office and went and told one of the guys, the associate directors, please, whatever you do, make sure Stephen does not leave this group. He went to the group and told them that. Then now, 2 days later, I'm talking now to that associate director, and he says, the bank people took you out of my mouth. I was already doing a JD for another job at the group. I want you to explain that in human terms. Are we getting what I'm saying? That you brand yourself to such an extent that people will fight over you. And the one who gets you will say, I'm lucky to get this person. That should be your effort. Now let's go into the details. Okay? So what are you going to do? First of all, I want to read to you what a brand is. It is the creation of an asset. The creation of an asset. It's an asset to you. It is the creation of an asset that pertains to a particular person. You, a particular individual. And this includes, but is not limited to these things. Number one, your body. And when I say this, I mean it. Understand your body size. Papa Shirandula took his size to advantage. He actually made money out of his size. You also need to understand that. Number two, and your clothing. Your what? Your clothing. Just look at him. Today I looked at him, I was just saying, I must use him as an example. Number three, appearance. It's a complete package, isn't it? Alisema hata kama yeye ni mfupi. Mama ndio yule pale. Can you see? The appearance. There's something to do. Hairstyle. It's others. Hata hii kiatu si rahisi. We need to talk to him. Tujue ilitoka wapi. Si ndio? Appearance, eh? And lastly, and this is very important, knowledge. The knowledge you carry with you. The knowledge you carry with you. The knowledge. Now, why do you need to focus on these things? So that wherever you go, wherever you are, whatever you do, you will leave an indelible mark. That people will remember you. And let me tell you what happened to me when I was interviewing for a job for Mumia's Sugar. I went into the interview room. They asked me one question, and I answered it in a very funny way, and they never forgot it. They asked, what is talent? And my answer was, you can't hire an ostrich to climb trees. You hire a squirrel to climb trees. And then they said, why? And I said, because the squirrel is a talent for climbing trees. And that left a mark on them. So when I reported in Mumias, the head of factory operations came to HR. And his comment is, wapi ule jamaa wa squirrel? I want to see him again. So you leave an indelible mark that is uniquely distinguishable. Uniquely distinguishable. So what separates you from the others? What separates you from the others? You need to know that. So at this particular point, you may have already started realizing that when Stephen came to this church, he came with also his own agenda. And he's doing exactly that. Sindio? Have you seen it? But not in a bad way. Sindio? Not in a bad way. So, number one, that you are going to purposely send out a clear and compelling message about yourself. A clear and compelling message about yourself. And you will position yourself in the minds of your market. Do you know your market? The people that will be interested in you. Find a way to position yourself in the minds of your market. Now, if you are looking for a job, how will you position yourself for that potential employer? You need to ask yourself that question. And number one is your social presence. What you do on social media. And there's social media for jobs. What is the name of that social media? LinkedIn. Are you present there? And are you known there? And known for what? Okay? But secondly, Facebook. What are you known for on Facebook? Are you known for Friday parties and passing out? Or are you known for something else? So that is called positioning yourself in your market. And whatever else that you intend to do. For example, you do business. So how will your market in that business know that you exist? How will they know that you sell something? Let me tell you what has happened to me in the past 2 weeks. In fact, past 1 week. 2 days ago, I got a call from a lady that I worked with doing some training. And she says, Stephen, yes, I hope we can get your time. I said, what is it? She says, we have a careers day. Speaking what I'm speaking. We have a careers day or career development day at Safaricom, and we need you to come and speak to engineers. Mark you, I worked there. Okay? Do you think you can spare some time and come and speak to engineers? The second one is about something that I've been very passionate about, and I've made it known on LinkedIn. Maybe even in this country, I could be among the few people who really understand that subject properly. It's called performance management. Now, someone called someone else and said, we would like you to come and do training for us. But for this one, we want Stephen Olieka. And so I'm supposed to create time. I don't know how I'll get it. 2 days to go and speak to a company in industrial area on performance management. When I talked about you sending out messages, those messages being retained and being repeated, now you understand what I was talking about. As these people speak my name, they are repeating my own message. My own message. So, I've talked about the 3 R's. Now, I want us to say, so how do I go about it? And here what we are saying is create your career toolkit. Your career toolkit. And that career toolkit has several things. Okay? Your career toolkit has several things that you must reflect on and think about. The first one is your CV. Your CV. So what is a CV in general? What is a CV? What does a CV say? Anyone? Yeah, now we are not preaching. This is a lesson, so you can raise your hand and ask a question. Yes. What is a CV?
That explains who you is in terms of profession, career, experience, and academic qualifications.
Yes. So it's by the way, it is a high-level summary of who you are professionally. And in general, I just speak high level. Number one, it will have something about your name, contacts, email, all that. So at least they should be able to contact. Sindio? Number two, your aspirations. So a statement that clearly indicates what you are aspiring to achieve, your career expectation. A young professional interested in, those are the statements I see You know, I recruit also, so I know. A young professional interested in joining a what? A dynamic organization. You know now where I'm leading, eh? and so on. So that statement. The third part is, and I want you to go in that order, is your work experience. And here, work experience, for those who are young and who have not worked, internship is work experience. So if you don't have anything else, have internship in this organization. But basically what it will be is a breakdown of the organizations you worked for, the name of the organization, the years or the period when you worked for that organization, and the role that you are in that organization. So just the title. Then below that, please understand this. One paragraph. One paragraph. Please don't go into your JD and extract everything about duties and responsibilities. Not necessary. Summarize in one paragraph what your job is all about. So for me, at my level, I usually just say responsible for training and development, recruitment, employee relations, employee experience, because those are the key things that I am responsible for at my level. Think about your job. One paragraph. Please understand this. Your mambo ya duties mingi ati unataka 3 pages of a CV, you are wasting your time. And then below that, please, this is the most important part out of your job experience, is your achievements. The things that you did that added value to the organization. So you can just put one statement there, say key achievements, full colon, and then go bullet or numbering and say number 1, implemented an HR system, tested and ensured that it was fully working within the required project period. Are you getting? Saved the organization 15 million shillings out of a budget of 50 million by doing 1, 2, 3, 4 things. In summary, one bullet. So those bullets should be active. What I mean is that they should start with a verb. Saved, acted, produced, engineered, designed, developed. Action words. Action. The second thing is, what did you achieve with that developing, with that designing, with that implementing? What did you achieve with it? So there should be some number, some value, and put that number there. The number can be actual number, it can be an increase, it can be a reduction, but put that number there. Number 3, about your job experience. Have you held any leadership role? I was the project leader for this one. I was the this for this. I was this for this. For those who are young, who are coming from college, were you a games captain? Were you a class prefect? Were you a school captain or something? When we are looking for people, there are specific attributes called competencies that we are looking for. And one of them is leadership skills, organizational skills. Are we getting? So you need to bring those things out. I was a games captain. I was the treasurer of this club. I was the secretary of this club. I was the class representative in Form 1, Form 2, Form 3. Because that is speaking well of you. Okay? Now, this is the one of the mistakes people make. They actually state their competencies. They say, I'm very good, I'm detailed oriented. No. Competencies are not stated, they are demonstrated. So find a way of stating that through something you did, instead of I am detailed oriented. Now let me tell you the problem we see with that, especially detail-oriented. Have an eye for detail, and you forgot to cross the T's and dot the I's. So we are wondering, you said, yes, you said you are good at details, and your own CV has grammar mistakes. Then are you really detail-oriented? No. Are you seeing? So you don't state competencies. You do what? You demonstrate them. You led a project team. You organized an event to succession. You know, that is the value that you added to the organization. So your work experience should be 80% value addition, 20% historical data. And historical data is organization, which year, which job role, and what were your duties. All of us, when we are working, we have duties and responsibilities. The only differentiating factor is your achievements, the value that you created. So you will go, job number 1, summarize like that. Job number 2, summarize like that. Job number 3, summarize like that. Now, why am I saying that you summarize? The word is summarize. And Apostle, allow me to step here. Hopefully this will be, I will not get punched or hit because I've used the wrong example. A CV is like a miniskirt. A CV is like a miniskirt. Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to arouse interest. It is supposed to hook the employer to say, hii wacha niweke kando, huyu tutamuita interview. Unaelewana? Ingine wataangalia tu everything, umeweka vitu mingi nini na wanasema wachana na huyu. But this one, let us put it aside. We need to call this person for an interview. From my own experience, I applied for a job at Huawei. And then I met an engineer who used to be with us and who had joined Huawei. He said, boss, what happened with that job? You advertised for a job, I applied, and what happened? So he went and asked the HR guy. And the HR guy told him, we received 10,000 applications for one job. How many? 10,000 applications for one job. So what does he do? You think he will go through all of them? No. He randomly picks them, and those which attract them because they have something, and I make a candle for interview until the day they will get the person. By that time, maybe they have only gone through 1,000 CVs. Meaning, if your CV is among the lucky ones to be picked out of that list, please make it very difficult for that guy to put it down. Tumeelewana? And what I'm describing is what will make it very difficult for that person to put it down. Work experience, achievements. Tumeelewana? The last one on CVs is your education summary. And this one, I'm going to talk about two things. Number one, just summarize school or college, this course which was done, and you can put there your grade, whether it's upper, lower, first class, and whatever. Okay? In terms of, this is a Chini, you can put there grade B, grade C, all that. But you can add there, in terms of education, if you are a prefect, if you are a sports leader, if you are something in that school. Are we getting? This is the problem we are facing now. And I'm talking about this because these are things I'm handling. Naomi will attest, because she may have come across some people that they joined and after a month they left. And the reason why they left is because they misrepresented the facts. Number one, you went and got a fake certificate and presented it. And in the short time I've been there, I've taken like 5 people through disciplinary. On Tuesday, I will be taking 8 people through disciplinary for presenting fake papers. Please understand this. We are in a country where now getting a job is difficult and people are getting tempted to present things which are not real. So whatever you state in that CV should match what is on the certificate. And sometimes it hits you hard. Let me explain this. 2 weeks ago, we did that hearing. The young man presented 2 certificates. 2. Which is a wonder. 2 certificates from the same university. Now, he's presenting those 2 certificates because initially he presented a fake one, which we took through the background check, and the university responded and said, this is a fake certificate. Then we brought him in for a hearing, and now he brings the real one. But he gives us a long winding story because he realizes things are bad. But we just asked him, do you have the original for the earlier one you presented? I didn't say fake one. He said yes, bring it. So he brought it. And do you have the one that you brought? Yes, bring it. And the one he has brought, latest one, he has a pass. So he was ashamed that he had a pass and went and faked one where he had an upper second. And then we are looking at everything, what do you call it? Font, the colors, the texture of the paper. All certificates will have a certain stamp. It's called what? Yes, the seal. And the seal sizes were different. And I'm showing him and saying, you see this and this can't match, this and this. And at the end of it all, he says, I have actually now realized I presented a fake certificate. And we note it in the recording of the session. 2 days later, we call him so that I can give him his termination. And he refuses to accept the termination. And he says, you must give me now time to go to the university and clarify these things. It is too late. So if you are a young person in this space, please understand. There are certain things you don't joke about, and these are your academic credentials. If you got a pass, live with it and find a way to navigate it in interviews, and you'll get a job. By the way, for this particular job, this guy did not have to have an upper second. It's just that you have a degree. But look at how he messed himself. So, academic credentials. The lower part of your CV should have something about, people put their sports and hobbies and so on. Sometimes an organization may see value in that, especially if they have sports teams and all that, okay? But the last part is your referees. Now, let me give you my experience with the referees. Number 1, not everybody can be your referee. And especially your relatives. So I got a call from a niece. He says, hey, Ango, nimekuweka kwa CV. Nikamuliza wapi? Si nimekuweka kwa CV nika-apply kazi. He said, yeah, but it is not good for you. And he said, why? Because I don't know you. The person you put on your CV is someone who can describe you, who knows you, someone who has interacted with you. That I'm your uncle doesn't mean I know you. It is someone who understands you, and now you start understanding why branding is important, isn't it? Because that person should know you very well. Number 2, and the preaching in the morning dew summarizes it. Some of your closest people are the people who will actually sabotage you. That someone smiles with you and laughs with you doesn't mean you put them on your CV. And I'm talking like this because Nairobi Hospital, 2 people worked together. Both of them left. One has gotten a job, the other one hasn't. He calls this other person because he was his boss. And he says, so and so, I'd like you to be my referee. They worked together. You know what happened? The boss gave a negative reference to the junior just because he didn't like him. And yet, when this junior asked, "Can I put you can I put you on my CV?" he accepted. So be very careful whom you put as your referee, because they can sabotage you. So it's someone you have tested and tried, and you know that they can speak for you. Melon, I can see people have got into serious thoughts. they are reflecting on their CV. So that is the CV part. Okay? The second part is a letter called the cover letter. The cover letter. Okay, at my level now, I have stopped applying for jobs. Me, I am cold. Okay? But those days when I was applying for jobs, that letter is very important. So in that letter, number one, you make reference to the job that you are applying for. You make reference to the job. And when you make that reference, you may cite an advert in the paper or a date where it appeared. It could have been online. Okay? That is number one. Number two, you express your interest in that job. I wish to express my interest in the job of. You express interest in the job. Sasa hapo tunajua wale walienda group of schools ama wale walienda government kizungu sasa, si ndio? Number three, you state in a summary why you should be considered. You state why you should be considered for that job. So what are the things you should talk about? Number one, your experience. Sasa hapo ndio unaweza tumia zile words nilikuwa nasema, result oriented, attention for detail, but it should be supported in the CV. So you will put like 5-6 bullets. And those bullets, by the way, I want you to think carefully about the advert. Go back to the advert. What are they looking for? And speak to the advert. Speak to the advert. If they said computer literate, put a bullet. But you should be good. I am good in computers. And give examples of the applications you are good in. Like Microsoft Office. But please, kama ulienda room 105, Kencom, na ukapata 6 certificates in one day, ile ya 3 hours. 3 hours. Usijisifu sana because utaenda kujiembarrass. Tunaelewana? Watu wa hapo nyuma kama wakina nani wanaelewa hiyo room 105. Kwa unaenda hapo ni kama ni short unapewa tu na unatoka hapo. You are very clever about computers. Okay? Please don't. Put there things that you really know you are an expert. If you say you are computer literate, wasikuwekee Excel sheet mbele yake and you cannot even tabulate data and generate a graph. Because many people wanajisifu. Wakati wamekaa sasa kwa desk, wanaanza kuambia mdosi, you know, I told you I'm good in computers, lakini niko tu na ile. Yes. And don't do like that. You know, there were computers with discs. Siku hizi ni flash discs, but we had CDs. Na sasa ukifinya hiyo kitu namna hii inatoka hivi, na wewe unashangaa unasema, "What? It has come with a cup holder." No. It should be that you really know how a computer works and you can use it effectively. Then put it there and say, I'm very computer literate. I'm good at computers. But the experience and the value that you can add. Now the value you can add, iko kule kwa CV, but now you repeat it here in a summary. I'm very good at project management. I am good at organizing events. I'm a sports person and would add value to your team because you know they have a team. Are we getting? So that they can see a direct connection between you and the problem they are facing in the workplace. This guy can solve our problem. So that is the cover letter. Now, this is a very powerful tool that you need to know about. Once you've done your CV and your cover letter, in the latest versions of Word, there is something called editor. It appears on the far right like a stick with branches on it, blue in color. Please click that thing. At the end of your work, click it and look at the right column. It will show you all the issues that are in that document. Grammar, syntax, what, everything, it will analyze. And it will show you a percentage. The higher the percentage, the better your document. If it is 60%, you have some work to do. But if it is 98, you only have to clear 2%. Click on that and it will show you the problems you have with your document. Most of them will be spelling, punctuation, grammar. You will get usage because depending on what you put on your computer as your keyboard, by the way, the setting is keyboard, but most people don't realize keyboard will affect the wording. So if your keyboard is American, it expects that what you are typing will be American English. If your keyboard is UK, it will be expecting that what you are typing is UK English. So all those things will appear on the right here. Spelling, grammar, syntax, all that. So click on it and start going through. If it is your name, you don't need to change your name, so you will ignore. And as you go through, you will see that percentage improving until it comes to 100. Then your document is okay. And then you can comfortably go and say, I'm detailed oriented. Tunaelewana? Isikuje umnasema we ni detailed oriented, na in your own document, you forgot to cross the T's and dot the I's. Tumeelewa? Now, I come to number 3. Your wardrobe. Your wardrobe. Apostle, please come up. I said I will use this as an example. This guy is looking for a job. He has been called. And as that door opens, the panel is on him. They look at him. From these alone, and by the way, the job is marketing executive. Marketing? I don't know whether you can connect marketing and dressing. Can you connect? If it is an engineer or a doctor, because I'm talking from experience, I've employed those ones, climbing a tower does not require a suit. True or false? Yes. But if you are doing marketing, but even if you are an engineer, for that first interview, impressions are made within seconds. Within seconds. So you must walk through that door, they look at you, and they say, yes. Complete package. So, number 1, feet. I will come, we discuss your fundi. Oh, you have an expert in-house. Okay, so will you allow me to? So, feet, isn't it? Style, colors, and it's coordination of colors. You see, so this is how we brand ourselves, just for a minute. In the past 1.5 months, I have inducted managers into my organization. And I've done a presentation on this. So I have a separate presentation on how to dress. And I talk about these things I'm talking about. Color, fit, coordination of colors. And when we coordinate these things, I wanted to see the belt, but I can use myself. Can you see something about the shoe and the belt? What is common? They are matching. So you can't have black and brown. Tunaelewana? And then pull it up a bit. You know, you will go to sit. Are you seeing the socks? That socks cannot be yellow. And the same applies for ladies. Sindio? No, unfortunately, leo hakuna mama alikuja business serious and so on. But it needs to be replicated for men and women. Now, what am I saying? Ile siku Mungu amekubariki. Ile siku Mungu amekubariki. Please go and buy 1 or 2. Watoto wa shule, convince your parent or whoever to buy you at least 1 good suit. Complete with the shoes. Na hiyo hautaiguza hata shati na tai yake. hiyo inakaanga tu kwa mfuko yake hapo ikingojea this day when you will go for the interview. Because all these things contribute to you getting the job. So you must invest in a good attire. A suit of the right color and matching shirt, tie, everything. Shoes, belt, socks. But remember, it is a person who will be inside that suit. So there is an aspect of grooming. An aspect of grooming. So, kama interview ni kesho, leo lazima upitie kwa kinyozi. Watrim vitu, kila kitu huku, atengeneze mzuri kabisa. Okay? Grooming also has something to do with perfume. You do not want wakati mlango itafunguka, ukishafika tu hapa yule mtu ako kwa ile kona amesmell wewe. That is offensive. So your perfume should be mild and pleasant. Naelewa? Number 3, on the same grooming, breath. You will go into some interviews which are very strict. And because of that, you will actually just sit next to someone who is interviewing you. Now, you do not want, when you open your mouth, they turn away. Tunaelewana? So you need to invest in some toothpaste and toothbrush and a good toothpaste. Not just a toothpaste. This is a reality. And by the way, your breath can cost you when you are being promoted. Because some of us are not looking for a job outside the organization. We are looking for the job inside the organization. Your grooming will affect you inside the organization. They will say, that guy is not ready to be a manager. Not because you don't know the job, but because of your grooming. You must dress the part. So if you have not been dressing your current part, they will be questioning, can that person dress this part? No. And so it will be a boardroom thing. They are discussing someone, and they will say, kama ni huyo hapana. Hata nyinyi amuoni vile ana dress, yeye hawezi kuwa manager. And that is how that opportunity will be gone. So, grooming and dressing. I've talked about references. Finally, you are going for the interview. Sindio? Uliona advert, uka-apply, waka-respond, wakakuita for interview. By the way, I have a story about that. My job in Safaricom, I got it partly because of personal branding. A young man joined Kenya Airways in the technical side. And he pestered me. This is a practical example of personal branding. He pestered me and said, how do people get jobs? Show me. So the first thing, Friday newspaper, go to the classifieds. So unaona kazi ziko hapa. Ugo unaangalia. He was not satisfied. Said, give me more. So the next thing I did, I took him to Safaricom website. And I said, be coming here. There's this thing here called careers. Be checking here every week. Check. He went and checked, and after a month, he saw a job. That day, I was working in Syokimau, behind the airport. I was building a station there. And he didn't get me. That was Monday. Tuesday, he was at my desk. Stephen, there is a job in Safaricom. I said, what do you mean? There is a job in Safaricom. I said, so you apply. I showed you. He says, no, it is for you. Then I said, how do you know? Personal branding. When he pestered me more, he said, now how do you make a CV? I gave him my CV in soft copy. I said, toa vitu zote na uweke yako, so that you retain the mwenye mnapenda kunyima watu vitu ati kwa sababu atapata kazi na wewe hautapata shauri yako. How is he? So when I asked him, how do you know that it is my job? He said, but I have your CV. I know everything about you, and what they are asking for is in your CV. So I said, okay, wacha niende field, nikirudi ndio nita-apply. He said, no. Today is the deadline. You apply before you go. He forced me to sit down and apply. Then I went to the field. 2 days later, on a Thursday, I get a call from a lady called Njeri. I think my wife knows Njeri. He says, Stephen, yes, we received your application and we'd like you to come for an interview. When? Next Tuesday. That Tuesday, I was again going to the field. So you go to a site, dusty like here. The shoes is dusty, your shirt gets dirty on the collar here because you are working in dust. But I told my boss in the afternoon I am going for an interview. So I left Syokimau at around 12:30. Arrived in town at around 1 something. I got a lift from a contractor. So you know what I did? Grooming. Sunbeam had collapsed, and that space had been converted into Mutumba. So I walked to a stranger, and I told him, "You see this suit of mine?" He said, "Yes." Get me a shirt. He got me. Get me a matching tie. He got me. Give me a brush and shoe polish. He gave me. I brushed my shoes, everything clearly. Then he gave me a new shirt I put on. It fitted nicely, plus a tie. Then I dusted my suit. Then I told him, I'm going for an interview. I'll pay you when I come back. A stranger, and he accepted. And I went and arrived in Safaricom 15 minutes to the interview time. And I got the job. Don't take grooming lightly. Unaelewana? Sometimes the hand of God is on you, and He will provide that avenue to make sure that you look smart. Okay, I'm about to finish. So, the interview itself, you must know something about the organization. Please, nowadays we are in a digital world. Go online. If it is Safaricom, go online and understand what is Safaricom, what is the organizational structure, who will be your boss, what are their values, vision, mission, values. Those are simple things that should not make you lose a job. Understand that organization to some extent. What are their products? So you will go to a Safaricom interview and they will ask you, what is our product? And the answer is air. They sell air, hot air. Sindio? And they package it 100, 500 shillings, 1,000 shillings, but they're just selling airtime. And that kind of question can easily make lose the job. So understand the organization, understand the department, understand their philosophy, understand their values, mission, and vision. So that such simple questions should not make you lose the job. One way of being very easy in the interview is knowing who the boss looks like. So that when you walk into the interview room, you look for that face because you already know it. It's already familiar with you. It will give you the comfort. Melewana? So you need to prepare for that interview. Number 2, look at the advert and look at the things they have put there. If they asked a question on those things, can you answer them? Don't just walk there hopelessly. Okay? Yes. Now, me, I've been privileged. You know, I tell you these stories. For me to get into Kenya Airways, boss yangu aliwasha moto chini ya kiti yangu without knowing that he's pushing me out. They went to my class and did an assessment of how I do my work. But the guy who wrote the report used an old report and left there things that were for someone else. But of course, my boss was also looking for a way to fix me. So when he saw those things, he got excited. He called me into his office and said, "Look at this. How can you be going to class late?" I said, "Me." He said, "Yes, you." I said, "No, that cannot be my report." He said, "No, it is here." And he turned the computer around. So I started scrolling through the document. And then I realized, it was talking about Mwangi. I said, "But this one is for Mwangi." Then he was also surprised. "Which one?" I said, "It's talking about Mwangi." And that is how we then realized the report had a problem. But at that point, he reminded me that there was an advert on my desk for Kenya Airways, which I was hesitating to apply. So it was God's intervention. It was divine intervention. So I went and looked at that advert. That was Thursday. Friday, I did an application, photocopied my documents, put in an envelope. Those days we were doing physical sometimes because it was late. The deadline was Saturday. And I drove to the airport and deposited the application at the gate. There was a very nice lady there said, "This one will reach." Came back to town. Personal branding. I'm talking about personal branding. Came back to town to a center that I had helped establish, information technology. And there was a lady waiting for me there. It's like she knew Stephen was coming. I don't know how. He says, "You are Stephen?" I said, "Yes." "Someone has pointed to you." I said, "Yes." "I have advertised a training in town and I don't have a trainer. And they say you can train." I said, "Yes." "In which area?" "Wireless communications." I said, "Good. Show me the material." "I don't have." So we had to sit down with her and develop the course there, which she had advertised. Some people are very courageous. Okay? And the training was in Norfolk. So the next week, the whole Saturday I spent developing the training material. The next week, on a Wednesday, I appear in Norfolk Hotel, and as I'm introducing myself and the students are introducing themselves, one of them is one Henry Obare from Kenya Airways, manager in charge of communications, my future boss. And I taught my boss for a full day. He left in the afternoon, and he came back on Friday. And when we had finished my part, I was doing something on information security about passwords and so on. I went, sat next to him and said, "Hey, by the way, there's a job at your place." He said, "Yes." "I applied." He said, "Yes, I saw. When you introduced yourself, I went and checked because I had seen some name like yours." I said, "Yeah, have they called you?" I said, "Yes, they called me yesterday." Then he said, "All the best." So on Tuesday the next week, I appeared before Obare and two others. And he asked me the questions about the things I taught him the previous week. Life. God works in miraculous. But remember that my boss was witch-handing. Can you see the hand of God? Can you see? Yes. But when you are prepared, God does not let you down. So please understand that. Now, I go to closing. The last part, in fact, two parts. The second last part is your social presence, social media presence. Social media presence. Please just know they are checking. They will go to your LinkedIn. They will see what you have said there. They will go to your Facebook. They will see what you have said there. They will go to your Instagram. They will see what you've done and shown there. If you the type, nafikiria kuna watu wa kukunywa pombe mingi. Unless uko na yako ya chini ya kitanda unatupigia huko nyumbani peke yako. But anyway, the whole idea is how you present yourself online has an effect on whether you'll be hired or not. Now, how then do you present yourself as a professional? You make sure that whatever you are sharing is speaking profession. You say, "I'm passionate about this area." Have you published any article? Have you shared anything about that area that you are saying you are passionate about? So if you go to my timeline, you will see a lot of stuff around public speaking, performance management, management and leadership development. And I post a lot on those things because I want also out there people to recognize that I am an expert in this. So do you do that? That is how you, by the way, my job to move from Mumias to Safal Group was LinkedIn. LinkedIn. I saw an Indian lady. She says, "Can I connect to you?" I said, "Yes." Then the next morning, she says, "Stephen, can we talk on the phone?" I was traveling to Nairobi. I said, "Yes." The next day at 9, the call came through when I was in the reception of FKE. So my first interview was in the reception of FKE. So this thing about getting your job through social media is real. But you have to position yourself that you are an expert in a particular area. You must speak that language of that area so that people can pick you and say, "This is the person we should talk to about this job." So my advice to you is that your second CV is LinkedIn. Your second CV is LinkedIn. Go and work on your LinkedIn and make sure that it is speaking a language that says, "If you call me, I'm available and I'll give you a very good service as an employee." Go and look for mine and you'll see what I've said there. Tunaelewana? So social media is not for fun alone. Social media can give you a job. Lastly, and Pastor has belabored this, so I will not go into a lot of details about it. Network. Network. And networking starts here, in this church. There's a young man there called Wesley. He can tell you a story about how someone picked him from here, and now he has a job. I don't. There's another lady, unfortunately she's not here today. She also picked from this crowd. Now she's somewhere, she's doing a job. So, network. They say your net worth is your network, or your network is your net worth. So, in terms of your profession, and now I'm very particular, in terms of your profession, how many people do you know? And how do you interact with them? How do you connect with them? Now, the lady who called this week to say that I must be the one to go and train them knows that I have presented on performance management in several forums in this country. Mombasa, Naivasha, Nairobi. Not once, maybe 5 or 6 times. And she must have been in my audience. And she picked my name and said, the next time we will want someone for performance management, we will pick that guy. Nalo, the presentation that I'm using today on personal branding, I made it to IT experts in Mombasa, information security experts in Mombasa. They gave me a flight. Said, Stephen, we give you a flight, you come to Mombasa and talk to our people for 2 hours on personal branding. So, we actually cut ourselves out of circulation when we do not network. So, number one, are you part of a professional body? If you're a marketer, Marketing Society of Kenya. If you're an HR person, Institute of Human Resource and Management. If you're an accountant, ISPAC. If you are an architect, the Association of Architects and whatever. Yeah? Are you a member of that organization? Do you know their calendar of events? How many of those events have you attended? And last one, by the way, is what we call professional practicing license. Are you recognized as a practicing expert in your area? So every year I have to renew my license. I have to pay 7,000 shillings to get that license to practice HR. The same for accountants. I don't know about marketers. The same for lawyers. The same for engineers. You have to be a registered engineer, and so on and so forth. Now, up to that point, I believe you start realizing that the game of getting a job is not a simple one. Senor, it is a purposeful game that you must play properly. Senor, so I want us to go to, there's a verse that I had, let me just open it, so that as I close, I hope I can get it. Yes. Now, the verse of the salt and the, so Matthew chapter 5, verse 13. So there are 2 verses that we need to close with, so that now you can go and action. So, what does it say? You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? Then good for nothing, but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. I want to connect that to something that happened when I was in first year of my course. I did electrical engineering. And we had a sadist lecturer, Amuindi. So he came and taught us very difficult things. And then when we could not answer, he looked at us and said, "Oh, I thought you were the cream of the society." And then he asked, "What happened to the cream?" It went sour. And he really enjoyed that statement. The same applies to the salt. The salt has certain characteristics. One, it is distinctive. 2, it penetrates. 3, it preserves. 4, it flavors. And finally, it provokes thirst. Sometimes when you reflect on your career, you start asking yourself questions. And I think my wife has been asking herself those questions. Yani, nilipoteza test. Yani, sina flavor anymore. Yani, mtu bona hawaniangalii. Are we getting? The same thing. Did the cream lose its value? And that's the questions we are asking ourselves most of the time. What is happening to me? Why am I not getting that job? But when you reflect on the things that we have discussed now, you start realizing that the problem could be you. Sindio? That you need to go and sit down and think seriously about your career and how to achieve the goals you are looking for. And I hope we can reach a stage where people can just be looking for you instead of you running after employers. Okay? The next verse will close it for me. The last one, yes. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. And next. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket. Most of us are lights that have been lit and put under a basket. Have you ever heard of a diamond in the rough? Have you ever heard of that statement? Yes, most of us are diamonds. But we have clothed in our ways, ourselves in a way that no one can determine that we are a diamond. So please, hiyo taa yako itoe kutoka chini iweke juu. And you are taking that light and putting on top of the table is branding yourself purposely. Thank you.
Wangapi wame